All right, thank you so much. This is Gurpal Singh from Gurpal Education, and as you all know, we have covered a lot of things regarding business environment and international business. Recently, we have covered the topics regarding foreign exchange management act, and after that, derivatives I have taught you. That India's foreign trade policy I have taught you. So now in this video lecture, we are going to cover regarding the next extension of a new economic policy. While teaching the new economic policy in India, we have already talked about LPG system. This was liberalization, privatization, and globalization. And in this video lecture, specifically, we are going to talk about globalization. I shall teach you what's the meaning of globalization, what are its driver, what are Indian strategies for going global, and what are different kind of internationally established strategies, how how a country can go globally for its import and exports. So all these things are going to be covered, and this is a very interesting topic. I must tell you that you are going to enjoy this video lecture a lot, as you have enjoyed the previous ones as well. So now just going to share the screen with you. I hope you would enjoy this, and you would understand it to the best of your knowledge and belief. Just to see and enjoy. So if I give you some description of this thing, and why we have to study this and how it emerged, so its answer is very simple. Okay, so we have taught you a lot of things regarding economic systems. We have already studied, okay, economic system, and in one video lecture uh, we have learned regarding complete industrial policies and industrial system. We have talked about a lot of times. Okay, I have taught you policies of 47, 1947, 1956, 77, and 80, and after that we have taught you that the new economic policy which was introduced in context of Indian economy at the period on the period of 1991 to 1992. So many laws were amended, so many things were changed, and a new economic policy was introduced. So under this economy, what happened? I'm going to tell you right now. What happened? We have already talked about three major revolutionary steps which the Indian government took just for giving the push to competitiveness in India, competitiveness of all the industries in India. So the first was liberalization, and the second thing was privatization, and the last was globalization. So regarding liberalization, we have already studied in detail. I have taught you factors of liberalization and what are the different areas in which the liberalization was made necessary, and the government took the relevant steps. Regarding the privatization, it's not that much needed, okay, because this is just a concept by which the government privatizes sectors so that it allows the private entities to enter into the market and open their business in some specified sectors. And the final thing is globalization, and at that time I told you that we shall be talking about globalization and how it happens in detail in some other video lectures. So this is going to be regarding globalization. Why I am teaching you this specific topic? The only reason being that in this video lecture, we are going to talk about some strategies of how a company can go global. How a company can go global. There are so many ways. Okay, there are so many ways. There are so many different strategies by following which a company can go global. When I use the term go global, that ultimately means that how an Indian company can have its transaction with some foreign countries. Okay, transaction, obviously we have already talked about a lot under foreign trade policy. Transactions, whether this is the transaction of import or transaction of export, how it can go uh, global, like import, export, making investment, or opening some businesses. So all these kind of things, how these happens, these things we have to study in globalization. So I hope you have got the idea of globalization and its definition in detail. So globalization is just the concept of securing a real social, economic, political, and cultural transformation of a world into a real global community. So nowadays, the world is not considered to be divided in different countries. Okay, nowadays we talk about all the world as a global, because trade is not restricted to boundaries of a specific country. Any country can trade anywhere around the world. So globalization simply means going global. Going global means having the transaction with some other countries. So it is considered to be essential mean for securing sustainable development of all the people of the world. So obviously it is considered as the best option. In the way that people can go global and they can make the transaction that could be beneficial for everyone. So globalization simply means that a world is turning into a single village, we can say, in which each and everybody is free to go everywhere to have the interaction or to have the business transactions with anyone. So this is about that. If we are understanding the features of the globalization, then we can simply list out these things. The first is liberalization. This is liberalization. This happens, globalization happens only on the basis of a trade liberalization. If a trade liberalization is there, then what happens? Only the free trade could happen only on the base of a trade liberalization. If there are so many restrictions, likewise the Indian country used to follow prior to the period of introducing the new economic policy. So that time there was none kind of liberalization. If liberalization is not there, then you cannot have the globalization. After that, free trade, obviously free trade must be there. Okay, if free trade is no, free trade simply means that a trade not restricted to the boundary of your company. Trade uh, outside the boundary of your company should also be free. Okay, free doesn't mean that cost free or a duty free. Free simply means that you should be freely enjoying for transferring the transactions from one country to another country. So globalization of economic activities, all the economic activities, all these things are economic activities. Okay, receiving money or paying money, receiving in forms of export and paying in forms of import, all these considered to be the economic activities. So there should be globalization of economic activities as well. Then there is the liberalization of import and export system. So each and every country should have their foreign trade policy or exim policy in a way that it should give the boost to the globalization or liberalization. Then privatization, only there are much more uh, part of the private entities which are indulging into the globalization. And nowadays, if we are making the comparison of what is the level of going global between private entities and public entities, then we can easily get to know that the private players are playing best and greater role than public enterprises in going global. So if privatization is there, only the globalization is possible. Then increased collaboration, it ultimately leads to increased collaboration, because what you have, maybe some other country people do not have that, and what the capability they are possessing, maybe you are not possessing. So in this way, if you are going global, you try to learn, you get to learn a lot of things, and you try to collaborate with a person whom you think can be beneficial for you in the long run. And finally, economic reforms should be there. Okay, economic reform, just likewise in India there was the new economic policy, there were economic reforms which ultimately leads to changes or relaxing the existing laws which regulate the foreign exchange and transfer of goods and services. So these, there should be economic reforms. If these are there, only then globalization could be made possible. So I hope that was more than enough to understand what globalization is, what are its salient features. Now, for the main reason for which we have we have taken this specific lecture. Otherwise, this is a very easy concept. I'm going to teach you right now why we have taken this lecture. So this was basically taken for answering you this specific question, and this is going to be regarding the following level. The following are the levels of globalization, and after that we shall be talking about how to go global. Okay, these are two questions basically for which we have taken this lecture. So there are some levels of globalization. Okay, levels of globalization. So from now onwards, this video lecture shall be divided into two parts or two questions. So what are the different levels of the globalization and how you can go global? What are the different ways for going global? So if we are talking about levels of globalization, there are so many levels. Okay, so the first is financial globalization. Okay, so now you can make investment not only in Indian stock market or in Indian market, but you can make investment in other markets as well, like London Stock Exchange, then American. You can purchase ADRs, you can purchase GDRs. Okay, all these things ultimately lead to financial globalization. So financial globalization simply means the interconnection of world's financial system. So more of a connection between large cities than nations. Okay, so this is known as a financial globalization, in which it ultimately leads to generation of financial opportunities to different persons around the world. Then economic globalization, when you freely allow the goods and services to be transferred outside the boundary of your country, this is known as economic globalization. This happens on the basis of creation of blocks like NAFTA, European Union, or multinational corporations. So a world economic system that permits easy movement of goods, production, capital, resources, or free trade facilities, that ultimately leads to economic globalization. So financial, where finances can be freely moved up, and economic globalization means where free trade could be possible. The next is technological globalization. This is very obvious. Nowadays you can see that more than 60% of the IT exports from India happens from Karnataka or Bengaluru. So there are so many skilled person who just provide their services or some other things to outside countries, mainly to the United States. Okay, so this is known as a technological globalization, where the technology of a single country can be used by the customers of some other countries as well. Okay, and this is the word technology can include in itself each and everything. It's not restricted to IT only. Likewise, you know that you use the you use the different companies for the products in your company. The fridge you are using, the television you are using, the LCD you are using, the other things you are using, and these are usually not for a specific country. Okay, its seller is basically from some other countries. This is known as technological globalization, where one country tries to transfer its technology to some other countries. So connection between nations through technology such as television, radio, telephones, internet, etc. So this is known as technological globalization. Then political globalization, when one country tries to attempt the similar kind of political policies or style of government. Like the Constitution India has been borrowed from the idea of a Constitution of India has been borrowed from so many countries. Okay, we have adopted so many things. If we are following the federal system in which the uh, powers of distribution has been made to center and the states as well. So when you try to adopt the similar kind of a constitution or similar kind of a political situations like some other countries or other forms of government, this is known as political globalization. Countries are attempting to adopt similar political policies or style of government in order to facilitate other forms of globalization. So this is known as a political globalization as well. And after that, this is cultural globalization. Now a culture is not restricted to one country only. Okay, so you can take the example of India. Here lives so many so many populace which belongs to different culture, religion, races. Okay, so in the same way, there are so many countries in which the people practice the different kind of a religion custom. You can take the example of United States, Canada, and some other countries as well. So merging or watering down of the world's culture, so it ultimately leads to similar kind of habits for food, for language, for entertainment, and for other things as well. Then there is ecological globalization. Nowadays earth is not being to be seen as the part or the possession of the land by some countries. Okay, this is just considered to be one, seeing the earth as a single ecosystem rather than a collection of a separate ecological system, because of so many problems are global in nature. Like we can see this is global warming. Okay, global warming is the case, then deforestation is the case, and lack of water is the case. Okay, so these are not the problem restricted to specific country. Nowadays the government of all the countries see or feel this kind of a situation as a whole. So this is known as ecological globalization system. And after that, there is a sociological globalization system. So this is the system, a growing belief that we are all global citizens. We are not restricted to a particular country and should all be held to same standards, should all have the same rights as I should have the same rights as someone other living in some other country have. Okay, so this is known as sociological globalization. It has not happened to the maximum extent yet. Okay, because sociological globalization is just a currently having or currently moving on phenomena. This has we have not achieved it yet. Okay, still we are having the growing belief only that we all are the global citizens and everyone should have the same rights as the rights are being possessed by some other countries. You can take the example of North Korea, where there is the complete violation of some human rights or some other things. Okay, so I think that was much more than sufficient. I have taught you what are the different levels of globalization. Okay, levels of globalization. The first we have talked about financial globalization, then economic, then technological, then political, then cultural, ecological, or sociological. Now I'm going to teach you how you can go global. Okay, how you can just make your entry at the global level. What are the different ways by which one company residing in a specific country can go global? Okay, one company can go global. It has so many ways. Okay, the first way is direct exporting. If it try to produce some products which are having the demand in countries other than your country, then you can directly export to some other countries. Like we do exports to different countries. Okay, we do exports to United States, to China as well, to Canada as well, or some other countries as well. Okay, so this is known as a direct exporting. That ultimately means selling your products or services to countries other than your country people. This is known as a direct exporting, and this is the first and the most easiest way of going global. So direct exporting is selling directly into the foreign market you have chosen, using in the first instance your own resources. When you try to sell your own resources in some foreign market, this is known as export or simple exporting or direct exporting. The second is licensing. Okay, licensing is a relatively sophisticated arrangement where a firm transfers the right to use a product or services to another firm. So taking the example of that, there is India and there is United States. Some firms are doing greatly well in selling their products. If they issue they can issue their licenses to their partner, or their we can say that they can make the contract with anyone residing in India, that we give you the license to use our product or our services. You can just make our products and you can simply sell this in India. This is also the way how the companies go global. You can see nowadays uh, the Domino's is everywhere. Okay, Coca-Cola is everywhere. So many companies are not restricted to one country only. So they just issue the license to some parties in some other countries, and they are allowed to use the product and services of them. Then franchising is a system, okay, in which what happens then, you issue the license as well, and along with that you just offer them that we shall train you, we shall organize your company, we shall merchandise, we shall do marketing and managing return, everything we will done for you. Okay, so there are two parties involved in this system. The first is a franchisor, the second is a franchisee. Suppose two people are there, A and B. B is residing in the United States, A is residing in India. So he wishes to have the franchisers okay, all over the world. He tries to find a person, and he has already found, he is named A. So he just offer him to be his franchisee. So that person who is transferring his product or his services shall be known as a franchisor, and this man should be recognized as a franchisee. And what is this actual contract? This is a continuing relationship in which a franchisor provides a licensed privilege to the franchisee to do business and offers assistance in organizing, training, merchandising, marketing, managing, return for monetary consideration. So this all happens, okay. The franchisor even teaches how to make the product, how to sell the product, how to manage your money, how you marketize, how you can organize your staff. Each and everything is helped by the franchisor. Okay, so this happens in case of a franchising system, and this is very much prevalent all over the world. So this was the third one of going global. The next is BOT. This is build, operate, and transfer, in which either public or private entities take some contract in any form. Okay, and suppose there are two companies in a company A and B. Then A is residing in India, or it may be the government as well. Okay, because we have talked not about private but public entity as well. They can request some companies outside the India that you have to build some technology for us, then you have to operate that, and if it is all working fine, that you have to transfer that technology to us, and that shall be done for a concession or for fees or some contractual amount. This is known as built, operate, and transfer system. So built on operate transfer is a form of a project financing wherein a private entity receives a concession from private or public sector to finance, design, construct, own, and operate a facility stated in the concession contract. So there is a contract between two parties. One party tells that you have to prepare some specific commodity or some specific machines or some specific things for us. You have to finance it at your own, you have to design it, you have to construct it, you have to own it, and after that you have to operate it. If everything is working fine, finally you have to transfer it to us. So this is all written in a specific contract. This enables the project proponent to recover its investment, operating, and maintenance expenses in the project. This all happens because there are so many things which are not, which we are not able to make indigenously, for the reason that we do not have that much capacity or that much technology with us. So we just, our government just do these kind of things. They just indulge into BOT kind of system, built, operate, and transfer. So this is all about that. The next one is partnering. Okay, partnering is a very simple system. Okay, if you wish your business to grow, you just try to find the partner around the world. Okay, partner around the world. How it happens? You are sitting over here. You feel that your roots are everywhere in a specific country. You just want to go global. You try to find some people who are residing in some other country, like B is residing in the United States, E in Canada, then E in Mexico, then that can be in Russia or other. Then you just try to collaborate with them, and you tell them that you have to be my partner. Whatever I shall provide you, you have to find the customers for us, and then we shall give some kind of fees or a contractual amount to you. This is known as a partnering system. Partnering is almost a necessity when entering foreign market in some parts of the world like Asia, so it may be required. Partnering is a particularly useful strategy in those markets where the culture, both business social, is substantially different, because you don't know what is liked in the United States and Canada. In that kind of system, you must need some kind of partners, because only local partner or the local person can understand the need of the customer of that particular area. So partnering is very important and the best way for going global as well. The next is a management contract. Okay, management contract. Sometime this is nowadays widely going criteria or the system. What happens here? A company is opened. Okay, but to run this company, specific operational or the management expertise is needed, which may be sometimes not available in a specific country from the specific country people. Okay, so maybe you need the kind of expertise or the qualification which is not being possessed, which you could not be able to find in your company. Then you try to find the people of your board or of your of the management level from outside your country. Like you can take the example of so many people. Okay, so Indra Nooyi you can see, then you can see the example of Sundar Pichai as well. So a management contract is an arrangement under which operational control of an enterprise is vested by contract in a separate enterprise that performs necessary managerial functions in return for a fee. So your company is here. Okay, you just hire the services of managerial and operational level services. So these are taken from the people outside your country, and you can hire some specific people, and you can hire some other company as well, and they can easily take over the control over managerial and operational accessories or systems. So this system is known as management contract, in which you do not sell your country, but what happens, you just give for a specified time period written in the contract all the managerial and operational control to some other parties around the world. So management control involve not just selling a method of doing things, but involves actually doing them. Okay, so they people just to perform the managerial and operational function, and this is known as management contracts. So then this is the joint venture. Okay, joint venture, what happens here? So nowadays this is also very prevalent. Two countries are there, I'm taking the example. Okay, so maybe they both are friend, but one is residing in country India, or the other one is residing in country Canada. So they both feel that collaboratively they can do a very good business. Okay, so he puts in some amount of funds as a capital, venture capital. B also put some amount of fund, and they just make the partnership you would have studied in your senior secondary or undergraduation classes. Okay, they just do the partnership in which they both collaborate with the capital. Okay, so in this way they just start a joint venture, and the product being prepared are sold in both the countries or around the world as well. This is a particular form of partnership that involves creation of a third independently managed company. It can be third company as well. Okay, so if A and B both are not willing to give their own name to the company, then they can create the third entity as well. They can just make the investment. So this happens with the rule of 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. So two companies agree to work together. This can also happen. Single individuals can also do that in joint venture, but companies can also do. So this is company A and company B, both are in different countries, and they try to open with their joint capital as company C in some other country. Okay, so in a particular, two companies agree to work together in a particular market, either geographic or product, and create a third company to undertake this. So this all happens. Okay, all the profit and losses are shared equally, like Sony Ericsson cell phone, you can take the example of that. Then after that, the going global strategy next is buying a company. Okay, so this is very usual, where one biggest multinational company just purchase some other companies. You could get so many examples. Okay, where MNCs, they have entered into a specific market. Like you could experience that in India there were so many companies indigenously, but when the biggest MNCs or players came into India, and they company just they got finished. Okay, because these were purchased by some biggest MNCs. There is no big player of making the cell phones. Okay, each and every cell phone is nowadays either this is imported, or this has the country label of some other countries, like mostly these are from China. Okay, so when one big MNC tries to operate in a specific country, then first of all, for going global, to understand the needs and nature of the customer, it tries to purchase the home countries, which are smaller in size and which could be easily purchased. And smaller companies are always ready to give up, because they cannot sustain in competition against the big MNCs. So in some markets, buying an existing local company may be the most appropriate entry strategy. So this is also the case. So then this is contract manufacturing. You can take the example of Puma. Okay, so this is the shoe company. What do? They do not make any kind of a shoe for their own. They just give the contract manufacturing. Okay, so they just hire some other companies of some other country, which manufacture the shoes on their behalf, and they just transfer the built up shoes to that company Puma, and it just attaches its label to the shoes, and it sells into all over the world. This is known as contract manufacturing, in which you do not manufacture the product of your company yourself. You just give the manufacturing contract to some other company in the world. Then this is piggybacking. Okay, piggybacking is particular unique way for entering in international arena. If you have a particularly interesting and unique product, if you feel that you have a product that you can sell to large domestic firms that are currently involved in foreign markets, you may want to approach them to see if your product or service can be included in their inventory for their international market. What happens here, two companies are involved, and they both are the shoemaking company, for example. So but this is residing in one country and this is in another country. This is experiencing that my products are being sold in my country at a very huge level. I wish to go global. It tries to find the similar kind of a company in some other country, and it offers a contract that along with your product, kindly sell our product as well, we shall be giving you the fees. Okay, in this way they can make the collaboration as well. This is known as piggybacking system. So this is all that. Okay, so if companies do not agree, they can find the local local sellers as well, or the local partners as well. This is piggybacking system. And I think this is the last one. This is turnkey project. What happens here? Here, the government of a specific company or some other public institutions, they give the turnkey project contracts to some manufacturers outside our country. Okay, so suppose government of India has given the project of making uh, road construction or engineering project to some companies, to some company outside the India. Okay, so what do the company do? They actually send their own workforce to that country, and they make the relevant things which are required under the contract. And when the things are prepared, they just take the fees from the government or the person who had given the contract, and they just go back to their country. This is known as turnkey project. Okay, so these projects are particular to the company that provides services such as environmental consulting, architecture, construction, and engineering. A turnkey project is where the facility is built from the ground up and turned over to the client ready to go. And when this is ready to go, all the system are ready to go, they just turn the key and the plant is operational, and that is given to them for a fees. So we can simply say that if government wishes to make a long road, construction of a road or a bridge, it can give the contract to some companies, which is a United States company or a Chinese company, that this company shall come into India and it shall build up that road. And when that road is completely operation, it can just give its responsibility to our government. Then government can in consideration pay them the fees. Then everything is done. This is known as turnkey project. So I think that was much more than sufficient. I have taught you a lot in this video lecture. We have talked about globalization, the features of that, the levels of globalization, and most importantly, the strategies of going global. So these are important from exam point of view. 2 times we have experienced that these were asked in the examination. This is why these are being taught. So today we have learned a lot regarding FTP and globalization as well. Maybe we shall be taking the 3rd lecture as well. This is Saturday. We are not going to give the off. If this is if that lecture is taken, then we shall be informing you for sure. So just taking leave from you. Thank you so much for joining me in this lecture. This is Gurpal Singh from Gurpal Education.